Hey, what up guys, it's Seem here. So let's talk about how to write highly converting email campaigns for your e-commerce brand. And I'm going to share with you exactly the types of emails that I like to write for my clients and the types of emails that will help your brand get noticed in the inbox. Later on in this video, I'm also going to be writing an email campaign together with you so you can see the step-by-step process of how it works and how you can write those emails yourself and get results like this. So let's get into it. I also want to clarify what this video is not about. So this video is not about using AI to write email copy. This video is also not about writing copy for design heavy emails. So if you search YouTube for e-commerce email marketing, you see a lot of those email gurus talk about sending only design heavy emails that look pretty. I have a separate video on that, on how you can write emails, how you can write copy for those types of emails. But this video is specifically about writing highly converting plain text emails. And why plain text emails? And why do I prefer to write plain text emails? Well, there's plenty of reasons. Number one is that plain text emails have better deliverability. So when you are dealing with text heavy emails, you're mostly writing text as opposed to dealing with like fancy infographics or product images or stuff like that, which can take a lot of time to load in the reader's inbox and also increase your chances of ending up in the spam folder. Plain text emails are also more human. So here on the right, I have two email samples from the same brand. One is more text heavy, one is more design heavy. And if you look at them, then the email on the left looks like an email that could actually come from like a colleague or a friend. The text is also more conversational, so it just looks and feels more human. Also, there's more room or space to write persuasive copy. So when you are doing design heavy emails, then you kind of have to cramp your copy or your text to fit into the design, which is not always perfect if you want to be really persuasive. And that's really the beauty of text heavy emails, that you're not limited by design, and you can just write persuasive direct response copy. They also take less time to ship. If you're doing design heavy emails, you have to go through multiple loops. Like you have the designer, you have the copywriter, and they have to work together, and then they have to go through multiple iterations. But if you have just like a direct response copywriter who knows also how to do the strategy, then you can write a very highly converting email campaign just like within minutes, hit send and make money. So it's that simple. And also plain text emails look more like UGC content, which just means that users are more used to engaging with this type of content. And if you don't put that much effort into the visuals or the design, your emails are less likely to look like ads. So the rule of one, so this is a copywriting rule which I like to follow when writing any types of copy, but specifically email copy. So all this means is that when you write an email campaign, you want to focus on one reader, one idea, one offer, and one action. And what this is going to do is this is going to give clarity and purpose for each email campaign that you send. So you don't want to be sending email campaigns where you talk about your brand story and you also talk about the benefits of your best-selling product, for example. So in email marketing, you want to focus on one topic. So for example, you can write an email campaign around one sales objection, one product benefit, or one industry myth. So for example, if I'm selling protein bars and one objection is why do all protein bars taste chalky, then I can write an email campaign around that and position my brand as the non-chalky option. So it's really that simple. So here are 10 quick and dirty email ideas which you can send for your e-commerce brand. So first is tell your brand story. You can also overcome a common sales objection, answer your audience's top questions, compare your brand versus the competition, break down the science behind your product. So if you have more science-based product, reveal an industry's dirty secret, revisit your brand mission and why it matters, showcase a customer transformation for social proof, debunk a popular industry myth, and also walk through how your products are made. So for example, if you're selling fashion or anything like that, you want to really talk about the craftsmanship. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to choose one of these email ideas. So I'm going to choose reveal an industry's dirty secret. I'm going to pick a random brand and show you how I would write an email campaign around that topic. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so here I have a brand called Nutrius that sells beef organ supplements. I have never worked with this brand before. It's a problem solution type of product, meaning people who are dealing with any kind of health issues, they're going to be looking for solutions, and beef organ supplements are really nutritious and can really have those benefits. So what I did was I went on this brand's blogs and I discovered this article on the topic of why European beef organs are superior to American beef organs. And basically, I'm going to use this article and position this brand as superior to the US brands. So this article here is written by an actual doctor, which is also great if I want to share this and to increase authority and social proof. So here are 6 reasons why European beef organs are superior. So for example, in Europe, there's a strict ban on synthetic hormones and antibiotics. Also higher standards for feed quality and source transparency, rigorous animal welfare standards, fewer additives and clean labor standards, etc. So essentially, as I mentioned, you want to use the rule of one. So we have one idea. We're gonna explain why European beef organs are superior. I'm gonna focus on the fact that in the US, they are allowed to stuff their animals with steroids and hormones to make them grow faster, whereas in Europe it's banned, and as well as in the US, it's common for cattle to be raised in the US on grain or corn heavy diets, which means they're not actually grass fed. So I am going to use that. And here also you have proof. So I'm going to use that and say that European beef organ supplements that actually come from grass fed animals, which is a very good value proposition. So I'm going to go here and start off this email. So you have to write a subject line. So when I'm writing subject lines, I really want to make them like curiosity based and human. And what I like to do is I like to use lowercase subject lines as opposed to like capital letters, because a lot of brands, they use like capital letters in the subject lines, and that just, it's the first signal of, oh, it's an email coming from a brand, it's another advert. So I like to use lowercase subject lines. So what I could write here is those beef organs might not be that healthy. And here, the first sentence of the email, or the first few sentences of the email, is sort of called a hook. What I could say here is that here's something you need to know. And here is where I deliver like the main hook, where I open up a loop. So most beef, I can say most beef organ supplements in the US aren't actually that healthy. Okay, and then here I like to use, so I've opened up a loop. This will catch their attention, and I kind of want to get into the mind of the reader and give them some empathy, or think empathetically about them, or what their reaction could be, because this is information that they probably haven't heard before. So I could say what, but isn't all beef healthy? Or something like that. And then here is when I start delivering the proof. But since I also, what I like to do in plain text emails, I like to use memes. So for example, I can use a meme that just says no. Okay, these are all very aggressive. So Matthew McConaughey has a meme or GIF around that. Okay, so this is perfect. I can use this as the GIF here. So I can use this. So here's what we have currently. So here's something you need to know. Most beef organ supplements in the US aren't actually that healthy, which is the hook. And then so we say empathy. So what, but isn't all beef healthy? And then you say no with the meme or a GIF or anything like that. And then here is when you start delivering the proof. So you see, here's the thing. Here's when I'm going to start delivering the proof. So when I go in the article here, there's actually proof from the US Food and Drug Administration's website that synthetic hormones are allowed to be used on the cows. So I can actually just pretty much copy paste this. So I'll say since the 1950s, the US Food and Drug Administration, FDA, so approved a number of steroid hormone drugs used with beef and cattle and sheep, including natural estrogen, testosterone. Okay, so has Let companies use hormones to make cows grow bigger and faster. So this is the first proof. So here is something again which the user or the reader, they might be skeptical about. So I can say, don't believe me. And then I'm gonna deliver them the bomb, the bomb news. Here's actually here's a direct quote from the FDA's website. So here's where I actually could screenshot this. Okay. So I could screenshot this and use it here. Okay. So we have it here. So this is actually proof that what we're saying is actually correct. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw some salt on the wound. So here we said that there's no ban in the US on synthetic hormones and antibiotics. And then we're gonna talk about that the animals aren't actually grass-fed, meaning that they are given corn and soy just before they're slaughtered. So here is when we're gonna even go even deeper. And you know what's even worse? Brands in the US can use actually can legally call beef grass-fed even if the cows ate soy and corn months before slaughter. And here we kind of we deliver the information, we pour salt on the wound, and here we kind of mention or explain what that means for the reader if they were to buy those supplements. So here we can write is, so the so-called grass-fed supplements that they're selling you, they're selling you, chances are those cows were stuffed with soy and corn. Actually, spent the last few months eating GMO crops. Okay. So here we have delivered the bomb, we have delivered the proof, and now here we kind of focus on the authority and to say why the person who's writing this email, the person who's sending this email, is actually an authoritative person on this topic. So I can say I've been in this industry since it's an email going from the founder. I want to say how long this person has been in the industry for. So I've been in this industry for over a decade. I know what's going on. Most brands, you can say most brands care more about profits than what goes into your body. Okay, and here is, it's a very clear value proposition. So here is when we start so before we have laid out all the groundwork, the context and everything like that, now is when I want to transition to the offer. So that's exactly why we do things differently at Nutriest. Okay, and then you start explaining what they do better. So especially focusing on the grass-fed stuff and also focusing on the brand in the European market on the use of hormones. So we source our cattle straight, our local organic farms. We don't use any nasty growth hormones and say those are 100% banned in Europe. And what we can say is, and our cows are grass-fed from birth. Okay, so here is where we have mentioned or delivered the USB. So now if they still have any objections, or you know that your user has any objections, so what we can say is you can also try to crush those objections. So what you can say is, for example, here, is it more expensive? Yes. And then you also kind of justify the purchase. So is it worth taking supplements that actually help you feel better? And then I can say I'll let you decide, to make them, let them know that they're in 100% in control of their decision. So and here I can put the call to action. So shop, use #1 beef organ supplements, and then sign off as founder at Nutriest, and then you put a name. And then what I usually like to do in plain text emails, if I can, use a PS section. So here's something that a valuable information that you can also include to increase that persuasiveness. A lot of people read the PS section, about 80 to 90%. I think there was like a study done saying that a lot of people read the PS section. So if you write something here, you really want to write something punchy here. So I can actually here link to the article because it's actually written by a doctor, which, just as I mentioned, increases that authority and social proof. So I can say, want more proof? Read more about why US beefs, why European beef supplements are superior to US brands. And I can say we partnered with an actual doctor on this article. Okay. And then here you can add a link to the article. Okay. So to kind of recap, so subject line, lowercase subject lines, which I like to use. Here in the first sentence, you have to have a hook or like a lead that hooks the reader's attention. And then here it's all about delivering that proof. If you write emails, you can use proof as like studies, for example, which is relevant to this industry, or you can also use social proof and let your customers do the talking. And then here you pour salt on the wound, so you agitate the problem or the issue. And then here is where you transition to the sale in the latter part of the email. And then here you add the call to action for them to start shopping, and as well as a PS section. So I really hope that was helpful. If you want me to help you write these types of emails for your brand, there's a link in the description to apply to work with me. But I hope this video was useful, and I'll see you in the next one.